President Trump and Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky. The two leaders face-to-face, seated inches apart inside St. Peter's Basilica for a 15-minute one-on-one about Ukraine's war with Russia. The White House calling it a very productive discussion. Zelensky later saying,
"Productive meeting. I don't want to go to a lot of details."
And on social media, laying out his priorities from that meeting: protecting lives of our people, full and unconditional ceasefire, and reliable and lasting peace, adding that the meeting has the potential to become historic.
No position to dictate.
A far cry from their last historic meeting in the Oval Office back in February.
You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right?
The new tone comes just days after a Russian missile and drone assault on Kyiv. President Trump condemning the strikes that left at least a dozen people dead before sounding an optimistic tone about a Friday meeting between his special envoy, Steve Witkoff, and Russia's Vladimir Putin.
I think we're pretty close. No deadline. Let's just want to do it as fast as possible.
Trump then following up that comment while flying home from Rome today with skepticism, posting, "There was no reason for Putin to be shooting missiles into civilian areas," and adding, "It makes me think that maybe he doesn't want to stop the war."
Aaron Gilchrist is in New Jersey, where the president landed just a few hours ago. Aaron, has President Trump said what he'll do if, in fact, Putin does not want to stop the war?
Well, the president also said in that post, Jose, that he may have to deal with Putin differently, suggesting that he may turn to more financial sanctions as a consequence for continued strikes in Ukraine. Jose?
Aaron Gilchrist, thank you. And be sure to tune in to Meet the Press tomorrow morning. Kristen Welker will speak exclusively with Secretary of State Marco Rubio and with Senator Bernie Sanders. There were protests tonight over the arrest of a judge by the FBI in Wisconsin, but her arrest is also raising questions about her role in allegedly helping an undocumented migrant who had just appeared in her courtroom avoid arrest. Adrian Broadus is there.
Drop the charges, stop the raids, stop the deportations.
Tonight, protests outside a Wisconsin FBI field office in support of a Milwaukee County judge.
And this is done in an effort to stifle our judiciary process and make other judges feel afraid.
Demonstrators defending Judge Hannah Dugan, arrested Friday by the FBI, accused of obstructing federal agents who were trying to detain an undocumented immigrant, Eduardo Flores Ruiz, inside her courthouse last week. According to court documents, the 31-year-old had a deportation order and was facing domestic abuse charges, to which he pleaded not guilty. The FBI says Judge Dugan instructed Flores Ruiz to leave through a, quote, back door of the courtroom. Speaking in Spanish, the alleged victims of Flores Ruiz who lived with him told us they were treated at the hospital after they allege he attacked them in a fight over loud music. The former housemates in court to testify against Flores Ruiz said they witnessed the judge telling him to leave the courtroom. Fearing retaliation, they didn't want to show their faces. In a statement, Judge Dugan's lawyer said she has, quote, committed herself to the rule of law and principles of due process for her entire career, adding she, quote, looks forward to being exonerated. Her arrest comes just a day after a former judge in New Mexico and his wife were arrested by accused of harboring someone with alleged ties to a Venezuelan gang. Back at the FBI field office in Wisconsin tonight, demonstrators demanding answers and standing with the judge who now has her own case to defend.
And Adrian, we're also hearing about a deportation case in which a 2-year-old U.S. citizen was deported to Honduras.
Yes, Jose, the girl's mother, who is not a U.S. citizen, was deported, and an assistant DHS assistant secretary tells us it was the girl's mother who made the decision to take her daughter with her. But a federal judge has ordered a hearing for next month to learn more about this case. Jose?
Adrian Broadus in St. Francis, Wisconsin, thank you. More than a dozen people were killed and hundreds more are hurt in a massive explosion at a shipping port in Iran. And it comes on the same day as key talks about the country's nuclear program are underway. Richard Engel is the only American television journalist in Iran and has the latest.
The explosion at Iran's main port could be felt up to 30 miles away, according to witnesses. Iran's customs authority said hazardous chemicals exploded, but didn't identify the type. A crisis management official in the region in southern Iran said the blast originated in containers. The timing is raising questions. This week, Iran's foreign minister warned Israel might try to sabotage negotiations with the U.S. to limit Iran's nuclear program in exchange for lifting sanctions. According to Israeli media, Israeli officials denied any responsibility in the port fire. In Iran, we found widespread support for a new diplomatic deal with the U.S. Iranians tell us they're tired of sanctions and want to travel, trade, and improve ties with the United States.
I've been to this country a few times, but never have I seen people openly speaking from the heart in this way. What happened? What changed?
You reach to a point that you're fed up. You don't want to experience more of that thing, that sanction, that misery. That think that every day you have to wake up to a bad news. Someday you say, "Oh, enough is enough." Let's see what happens if things were different.
Iran's foreign minister today said he remains cautiously optimistic about the nuclear talks with the U.S., which are scheduled to resume next week. A senior White House official told NBC News the negotiations were both positive and productive. Jose?
Richard Engel in Tehran, thank you. Coming up, we're tracking severe weather tonight, including this hailstorm that pounded parts of Oklahoma. The area is under threat.